All right, welcome back to Lockdown Sports. It's been a slow day. It's been a slow day. Sometimes you get to that point in life and you just need to hit that snooze button on the alarm. And at 23 years of age, we took that decision this morning, 20 minutes in to Portugal versus Georgia, knowing what sort of game it would turn out to be. I think we made the right decision, Saj. I think we made the right decision. 1-0 down in the first half, 2-0, pretty big upset as far as the Euros goes so far. What did you make of the game? Obviously, having caught up on the mini match, I hope.
No, I actually ended up staying up and continued to watch the game, which is why I said you probably made the right decision of going back to bed. It was a horror game. Um, and to be fair, look, Georgia got the tactics right for the game for their purposes. They don't have the talent. They just decided, hey, we have a quick goal here, let's set up shot. But watching that game was extremely painful. I think this is what England think that they're doing, but just like 10 times worse. It was definitely a tough watch, but hey, good on Georgia for securing a win and getting themselves through to the round of 16.
And this whole time, I didn't even let you play fantasy football this time because I didn't think you had it in you. To be totally honest, that I didn't think you had it in you. But if we go through this Portugal lineup you see on the right hand side,
Mm,
very rotated, only three guys from the 11. And one of them is a certain Cristiano Ronaldo, who I guess we might as well, before we get into the predictions, we might as well talk about it. Very frustrated as he gets subbed off. Puts in a standard 39-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo performance. If he doesn't get the ball, he can't do anything, and he needs a lot of the ball. Should he be starting next game? There is a correct
abso
answer, Saj.
Absolutely not. Um,
Okay,
I
good.
I just think it slows down all of Portugal's play, and that was a big reason as to why they couldn't get anything done.
Mm.
It was slow, it was labored, there was no urgency. And as much as you might bringing Ronaldo off the bench might be kind of helpful and burst depending on the situation, but I would not be starting him. There's no situation where you need him on that pitch for 60 minutes of the game. So yeah, no, hell no would really be the answer.
Okay,
That's hard for me, man.
okay.
I'm a Ronaldo fanboy. That's a hard thing for me to say, but it's just the reality. You can't. There's no world where you can say it's right anymore.
Father Time is undefeated. Father Time is infinity and O, my friend. And
Hmm.
talk about some of the other guys who actually have Father Time quite on their hands, but still shocking. I found it really sad that Zhao Felix, for the last 5 years, Saj, the way we've talked about him has been the exact same. Is the exact same. Like there's something there, but it's not fully there. It's not fully there. We keep asking for a little bit more, and we
Mm.
never seem to get it. And you see Constant Chow on the other wing. You see Dallo, Pedro Neto, all these other guys, right, in this Portugal team, really take the onus. Really take the onus. And João Felix always just leaves you asking that little bit more. Did anyone at all, probably not João Felix, impress you enough to warrant a call up to that starting 11? Because you're saying Ronaldo's out. Who's in? Who's in?
I honestly would say no. That's what I mean, man. It was such a labored effort. It felt like they weren't bothered to be there at times. It just
Mm,
even just the switching from left to right. It was hard to watch those wingers go. Because it just felt like they weren't being direct at all. They weren't like attacking. They were just kind of going through the motions, and it felt so hard to watch, especially in a game where like it's a low block. You have to attack them. You can't just switch the board hope something will open up. They were just in the
mm.
box at all times. They had 11. Georgia had 11 men behind the board all the time. So it's hard to pick anyone in this team really. Even the defense was a bit. There was no urgency going back, and look, Georgia was only going to do one thing. They were just going to counter you. And the second they lost the ball, there was nothing about tracking back. It was just like, all right, hopefully someone messes it up. We'll get the ball back.
Yeah,
It's not the standard Portugal we saw, especially for the first two games. It's a very different side.
really, really. Like
I think so.
I feel like we've watched the same Portugal game. It's just without Bruno Fernandes. It's just without Bruno Fernandes. It's without a couple of guys that have chance creation in them. Because we saw how easily they were able to dominate the ball today. Let me see the possession
Mm.
stats. Because I'm guaranteed 72 to 28.
Yeah.
Tom's in the comments. He's saying he wouldn't do it, but it can work. Bruno as the striker. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like Bruno's game is so much about having guys in front of him that he can produce
Yeah.
for. So to take that
I
away, but uh, how do you feel?
I don't even think the striker position's the problem. It's I thought it was the wingers that just like we just saw nothing for no production out of him. I thought when Jota came in for the last few minutes of the
Mm.
game, he was more active. He was a lot more invested in the game. So I can't see a world where Bruno would be at his best at the false nine. He's doing quite well in the 10 anyway. To take him out of
Mm.
that position, I feel it's a decent idea, but to take him out of that natural position that he's played for United, played for Portugal for basically his entire career, just wouldn't make sense at this stage where now every mistake will be magnified, right?
Yeah, 100%. And when he plays, wherever he plays, he can run around wherever. And that's Bruno
Mm,
at his best. Doing
mm.
whatever, causing chaos, moving left, right, center, up, down. And I just got to go back to it. So who do you actually want to start up top? If it's not going to be Ronaldo, is it Jota with Leao on the
I
wing?
think, I mean, I think that's on paper that makes the most amount of sense to me.
Mm,
Even that, like I said, that cameo from Jota, he showed that he was the best player in that front line. In my opinion,
mm,
I think he made an impact straight away. They looked more threatening, but it's just on the coming back is where they lacked. So it
mm.
makes sense. Look, Liao hasn't been amazing this Euros or this season, to be fair.
Two
So I
dives,
think
two dives, and he gets suspended, my friend. Two dives, two dives. That's
yeah.
all it took, man. That's all it took.
I mean, man. I mean, if we're gonna talk about yellow cards and suspensions, we got a whole other game that happened
We gotta
before this
pivot
game.
to the other game.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of suspensions coming out of that game, I'm sure. So yeah, like I said, just going back to the point, I don't think Liao's been particularly great, but I also think he's your best option. He's kind of like this is me, the England fanboy coming out again. If it was like Rashford on the right and the left for England, it's just he might not do anything for 80 minutes, but for 5 minutes he might produce something, and that's why you have him on the pitch. So I
I
reckon you have to put Liao in.
I just think it's hilarious that this guy won whatever they call it. Is it the Serie A MVP 2 or 3 years ago? And
Yeah.
he was just a borderline fringe member for this Portugal team. He's never been looked at as a
Mm.
guy. And in terms of narrative, not in terms of this bullshit Rashford comparison you're doing for me, because they're so different. But in terms
I
of
don't know.
narrative, it is very Vinicius Jr.
Yeah.
about how he hasn't been able to take it to the national stage. And even at the World Cup, he comes off the bench, he scores, and he just looks like a great player. And so much of this Portugal team post Ronaldo is going to be about Rafael Leao. And I'm just
100%.
like, how are you now almost approaching your prime of your career, having not had like a consistent, like, oh yeah, I do this for this team. This is my
Yeah.
role. And they're just going to have so much to figure out because as much as we love Bernardo Silva, in international football, I don't think he can play on the wing. I don't
No.
think that's what this game is about. I think it's about taking people on, taking risks. And Diego Jota, Leao, Bruno Fernandes, whoever else, Constant looks all right. Maybe it was just the debut goal that's playing on my heartstrings a little bit, but they've got some decent, very decent young options. And
Mm.
the other guy, I want to wrap up on this and get into our predictions because, people are watching, time is money. But
Yeah.
the one guy that is not aging is Pepe. And every time I watch him, it's like it's 2014 again. And
I know.
I'm watching the same guy just defy time.
I don't understand how he's doing this. Like, as in, I don't know if it's just like the position where you don't have to be like the most explosive
Nah,
person,
he's
but like,
explosive.
that's what I mean.
He,
He doesn't need to be, but he is. I just don't understand how he's still going. You're saying Father Time is undefeated. He's probably the one guy who's put up
mm,
one of the best fights I've
yeah,
seen. Like
yeah.
he's still going.
Yeah, and people talked about Buffon, and that's where the athleticism doesn't really come into it. First of
Yeah.
all, and we saw him, we saw him. Everyone talks about Ollie Solskjaer winning us the Paris match,
Yeah,
but we
that
we
was
were
Buffon.
watching with our eyes on what was happening. Two Buffon mistakes and a handball, and we make it through the
Yeah,
quarterfinals.
Buffon. It was one of the few games where Buffon made Lukaku look like an absolute genius, but we can't talk about this anymore.
Lukaku slander will not be appreciated on this channel anymore, Saj. We said it a couple days ago.
Yeah,
He could be the player of the tournament in another
yeah,
universe. Like 95% of the time, this is a player of the tournament campaign. But
100%.
it's looking rough, man. It's looking rough. Let's
Yeah.
get into the predictions. Let's get
Mhm.
into it. Here are the fixtures, fellas. Spain versus Georgia, Germany, Denmark, Portugal, Slovenia, France, Belgium. That is four blockbuster teams on the same side of the draw.
Yeah.
And then no insults are meant, no insults are intended. But Romania, Netherlands, Austria, Turkey, England, Slovakia, Switzerland, Italy. Is
I
it?
find.
You go,
Oh
you go.
god.
You talk to me. I've thought about this too much.
I find this bracket so funny because it genuinely is like the most exciting games that we've seen, and then four of like the most boring sides that I've ever seen in the whole Euros tournament. So I find it so funny. I'm hoping that we see like the big four in that top spot in that top half that we saw. I'm hoping the big four come out. So I'm hoping
Mm,
it's Spain that beats Georgia. I'm hoping Germany beats Denmark. Hopefully Portugal shows a better performance than they showed today and beats Slovenia, and we'll most likely see France go through against Belgium. And that way, our quarters are going to be absolutely stacked. But
mm.
oh, I
It's
find it very. Yeah,
that's
go.
too picture perfect, man. That's
Yeah,
too
yeah,
picture
yeah.
perfect. That's way too picture perfect. And you said the other side is gonna be boring. I
Mm,
agree 100% with Tom. England has something planned for us.
yeah,
If we go back to the draw, you've got not only England,
mm,
but Austria.
yeah,
Austria has looked, and I said it in the group chat earlier today, they've looked like, alongside Switzerland, the best team in
yeah,
the Euros. How
yeah,
much that matters in international football, maybe enough to get to the quarters or the semis, and then you're looking at individual talent getting you a little bit further. But I don't know, man. That other side of the draw, we could have any one of those eight teams. Romania's been better than some of these teams this tournament.
mm,
No one has turned up.
yeah,
That's why you've got the leading goal scorer is probably still own goals. I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know. Where's your heart at? Where's your heart at on that side of the draw, man?
I think what you mentioned about like that the chemistry, the team kind of side of things,
Mm,
we will definitely see the impacts of that in this in the round of 16. So this is where I'm thinking. I probably agree with you. Austria is probably going to go through. I could see Romania being in Netherlands. Netherlands have not been great, and especially with Van Dijk doing his weird ass crap, holding the back line at, I don't know, at the 6 yard box. I don't know what he's on at the moment, but you can see that this is the side where I can see an upset because the teams that the style of football we're used to seeing from teams like Netherlands, team like
mm,
Italy, teams like England, we aren't seeing. So if there's gonna
mm,
be an upset, it's gonna be there. For me personally, I think England usually finds a way to pull it out, and they're probably facing the weakest opponent in that sort of bracket with Slovakia. So I can
mm,
see them going through, but I wouldn't be surprised if Switzerland beat Italy. Italy haven't looked like the most fluid team in the world, and Switzerland been like we've talked about this. They've been producing these bangers out of absolutely nothing, and if that's all you need in this sort of like in at this stage of the game, it's just whatever
mm.
can produce you a goal. So I would be backing Switzerland. I'd be backing Austria. I'm backing Romania. Honestly, I can't see
Come
Netherlands
on,
pulling something together.
man. Come on, man. Look, let's talk about Netherlands then for a little
Yeah,
bit because I saw a tweet
yeah,
earlier yesterday. When you have a backline of
mm,
Mickey van der Ven, Stefan de Vrij, Ake, Virgil van Dijk, defense should not be a problem. Defense,
yeah,
defense should not be a problem. And
yes.
somehow their defense is questionable. Offense, we know it's not the Robins, the Van
Mm.
Persies, the Schneiders, but on defense, this is so puzzling to me. What do you think it is holding them back?
It's hundred. It's the way they like. I don't think they communicate. It's really weird. Like I don't think they know who's next to them. That's what it
Are you
looks like as a
blaming
viewer,
Frimpong? Are you
huh?
blaming Frimpong for not knowing Dutch?
No. It might. I don't know. It's just what it looks like. They look so disconnected, and I think any defense needs to know like what the tendencies are of your players, like left and right. And so
Mm,
when you have, if one person is on something else, like is he thinking of another plan? Then it can mess up the whole thing. And like I don't mean to keep going back to this, but we saw that with the goal the other day where Van Dijk was all the way back. He clearly isn't. He's just not. He wasn't on the same page. If they're all on the same line, that goal doesn't happen anymore. So, and like it's so weird to say that these guys have played together for how many years? We're not seeing different peoples out of this Dutch team. It
Okay,
is the same
that
back line.
that's where I'm willing to give them a bit of leeway because the midfield in front of them,
Yeah,
that is pretty brand new.
yeah,
That is pretty brand new. Obviously, De Jong's not there. I don't think Koop Myers is there right now.
hmm
All of the guys from the last Euros, the last World Cup, they are not there. They are not
mm,
there. The best Netherlands has looked was still, in my opinion, the Nations League as we were leaving high school. I think that time of our lives
yeah.
when Frankie de Jong, Eric Ten Hag, Donny van der Beek were still
But
genuinely
yeah,
borderline world class,
yeah.
borderline. That's when this team peaked, and it's just really puzzling. I think it's going to come down to how Memphis is up front. If Memphis
Mm,
turns up, he's got one game in him. I still
yeah.
believe in this man to have one game in him in an orange jersey.
Mm,
Let's look elsewhere. I think the other big game that everyone wants to talk about is France versus Belgium. Honestly, if France don't win this game, I'm looking at a lot of people with side eye. I'm looking at Deschamps with
mm,
side eye,
mm,
Mbappe, Rabiot, the whole lot, man. It's just puzzling because they've got so much quality. And the
mm.
reason why me and so many people have them winning every tournament is on the quality. It's not on the cohesion. But do you think that's going to be a problem for them? The chemistry in that squad against Belgium?
I don't think it should be because of the way Belgium has been as well. Like I said this to you in person. I think they're a bit of a
Mm,
wild card where we just don't know what sort of performance we're going to get out of them. They've been very inconsistent. But I think France have showed enough in this tournament. They've played enough. This core has been together for far too long for this to be an issue. Even if, say, Mbappe, of course, he should be playing, but say in some
mm,
universe where he's like his nose is not in a position where he can't play anymore, he doesn't want to come back, then
mm,
that team is still that core has still been together long enough for them to be able to produce something. So
mm.
man, I'd be very disappointed if France managed to bow out at this stage. They should be going deep into this tournament. They were tournament favorites coming in. I don't expect anything to change. So I'll be backing them. And like I said, with the way Belgium's gone as well, if anything, I feel more affirmed to say France should go through.
Yeah, I hope so. For the sake of my predictions, for the sake of what has been my team
Mm,
since Paul Pogba donned the jersey. uh, this team is so weird because
yeah.
they will look like absolute dog shit. And Tom said it best. There's a very England vibe about this team. It's like
Yes.
we just don't hear enough about the politics, but there is so much politics in this squad.
Mm,
You know, Barcola, should he be in the squad? Yes, he's a great young player, but is he should he not just be in the Olympic squad right now, warming up with the under 21s? He's good mates with Mbappe. Dembele's always had question marks around him. Giroud is Deschamps' choice, but no one else's choice. Griezmann and Mbappe always have this weird notion of distance about them. And then the back line is so different to the one that we know that won France a lot of games with Varane, with Lucas Hernandez. Even everything is so wacky. Lloris is not there now. Pogba's not there. There's so many puzzling points, and they look so out of shape on the pitch. And all it takes is one, two from Theo and Killian, and they're the best team in the Euros. It's that simple for them. Did you see
yeah.
like how quickly Mbappe just gets to the ball?
Yeah.
Like he faster than his own players dribbling, just steals it off them. It's funny to see, man. It's funny to see.
Yeah. But is it again? I think that kind of link up goes again. A lot of these players have still played together. They know they can just produce these things out of nothing.
Mm,
And so
mm,
and France, they've got all the talent in the bloody world. They've got to. It doesn't. They don't need to pull a performance where they're dominant, where they're like got the ball for 90 minutes of the game. They just need it for
mm.
like five, and they can produce 6 goals out of that. That's how good they are. So honestly,
It
I'd
feels
be
that
very
way.
surprised. Yeah, I'd be so
Yeah.
surprised if they bow out.
Who do you think is? We'll wrap up shortly, but who do you think is the best attack in the tournament? My mind is on one team. I want to know if we agree. I want to know if we agree.
Mm, I I feel like
Have a
I
look at
have
the
to
team,
see.
fellas. Tell me who the best attack is.
I don't know who you're gonna say, but I personally, from watching, I would probably say Germany still. I've just
I
liked the
had them
way
second.
okay.
I had them
I've
second.
liked the types of goals they've scored. It's been they've scored goals out the wing, they've scored goals through the middle. I just think they've got a variety of
Mm.
play. Who are you gonna say? Spain?
Spain. Spain.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. The fact that in the third game, they rotate the full 11 and they score one of the nicest goals of the tournament, splitting through the defense. Ferran Torres, when you play midfielders in the front line, all the finishes are essentially just going to be finesse shots into the bottom corners. And they perfect that. And
Mm,
they've got so many players comfortable on the ball and they're willing to pass the ball in tight spaces.
mm,
And the best parts about Germany also do that. Also do that.
mm.
100% agree. Gundogan, Wirtz, Musiala, Tony Cruz quarterbacking the show. They do that as well. But I just look at
Yeah.
Spain and it's just a 24/7 do or die mentality. You've got the likes of Laporte at the back as well,
Mm,
passing the ball, spraying it left, right, and center. I trust those 11 men with the football at their feet more than any other team. And Germany,
mm.
this is probably the seventh time in our 12 Euros episodes I'll mention it. Their striker is not good. Their
I
striker is not good.
that was the point that I was about to bring up. It's you're comparing either it's gonna be either Kai Havertz or Fulkrug versus Morata. If we're talking about
Hmm.
this a few years ago, it's they're probably on par. Morata's not gonna score anything. But
I
but
like
now we're
this
seeing
version.
this this
I
version's
like
great.
this
This is
version
the
of
version
mine.
we've been wanting to see for years. Imagine we got
Hey,
this version at Chelsea a few years ago. Oh God,
we
they might have
did.
actually
We
won.
got it for like a couple weeks. We got
A
it for a
couple of
couple
weeks is
weeks.
come on now. Okay, yeah, sure. The length of the Euros, but not for the
We
season.
got it a couple weeks. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. The rest of the games, we'll do a quick fire predictions. Spain versus Georgia. Honestly, Georgia pulled a rabbit out of the hat today. I don't see any
Mm.
hope for them. Germany,
No.
Denmark. I think this is spicy. I think this is spicy. I can see it going extra time if Havertz starts. If
Hell
Havertz
no.
starts. If
I'm
Havertz
back in
starts.
Germany. I'm back in Germany all the way. I'm hoping my boy Hoyland scores, but I doubt it. I'm gonna back Germany.
Man, we gotta do something. Obviously, Van Nistelrooy's coming in, but
Yeah.
Hoyland's shot. It's it's like watching Kyle Anderson play basketball. Like you know it's coming, but it's just
But
so slow and
I think
telegraphed right now.
his feints are too good, mate. He clears all the space in the world, and then he can take the shot. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm having some doubts, but look, he's got plenty of time to prove me wrong. Tell me what you think about Portugal, Slovenia, though.
I think we didn't see the best version of them today, and it's probably because a few key players were rotated out. Once
Mm.
they slot back in, I'm going to back Portugal in there.
Regular time,
Yeah,
comfortable,
yeah.
comfortable,
I
easy.
I think comfortable. Yeah.
Can you say the same about France versus Belgium?
See, this is one of the ones where just because I don't know what each team has been so odd, I can see this going to extra
Mm.
time, but I'm still going to back a France win here.
Look, they look at the back line for Belgium.
Mm,
There is no pace. There is no pace. If Fage is playing as one of the centre backs, if Vertonghen plays as well,
mm,
if Castagne is the fullback,
mm.
he's not a defender. He's not a defender. If you play for Atalanta, I don't think you defend. Full
Yeah,
stop. To be totally honest,
yeah,
um, there's just so many holes in this team. And today, man, that midfield does not want to track back.
no,
When they lost the ball, there was no pressing shape. And if you don't press France, you won't get the ball back for quite a while.
yeah,
You'll be sucked into the final third low block sort of game. And I don't
yeah.
trust you guys at all. One Mbappe play and it's all over. And I can see Griezmann dominating that midfield a lot more than De Bruyne, which is sad to
Right.
say. But I think I think we'll be talking about Griezmann more and more in these knockouts than before.
Good shout.
Romania, Netherlands. Romania, Netherlands.
I
Where are we at?
I told you, mate. I can see Netherlands pulling an
Nah.
absolute stinker here, and I'm gonna be a bit controversial. I'm gonna say Romania goes through here.
I just want to have a
Cinderella
look
story.
back. Give me a
Yeah.
second. Give me a second because the Euro 2020, if we have a look at the table, I
Mm.
swear they won every single game. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Where are we? Not this one. This one. So Netherlands won 3 games
Yeah.
in the Euro 2020 group stage, and then in the round of 16, 2-0 loss to the Czech Republic,
Yeah.
and then let's go to the World Cup because I'm fairly sure they lose to Argentina in what was it? The round of 16 or the
Round of
quarters?
si round of 16 was Australia, so probably the quarters.
The quarters. They lose
Yeah.
in the round of six in the quarters to Argentina. And okay, that one I understand. That one
Yeah.
I can like reason with because it was the team that won, and they beat the mighty Australia. So it is what it is. But another time where they've dominated the group stage, they haven't
Yeah.
even done that this time. So I get where you're coming from. Tom saying as well, he's got Romania unless Vegos scores a
I
late
was
double.
just about to say this.
No one,
Unless Ueco pulls a special, I can't see that it's going through. It's been how they won most of their games.
no one trusts my boys. No one trusts Xavi Simons. No one trusts Memphis Depay. You guys wait and see because you saw Memphis get acrobatic. You saw Memphis get acrobatic in the third game.
Yes,
He's
but
got
I've
it.
seen what. Yes, but I've seen what Ueco get goals in like proven goals of set
Hey,
pieces. He's just there in the box. I
I
rather get
swear,
goals than
I swear they're
acrobatics.
tied 1 goal each. I know Wegos has probably played a total of 11 minutes, but maybe Memphis is wearing that defense down.
But like you brought out the World Cup as well. He did the same thing there. The only reason they
He
were even
did.
close against
Mhm.
Argentina was because of two World goals. You never know. He might pull the same blinder again.
He's a menace. He's an absolute menace, and it's a shame that we didn't get to see that for Man
Yeah.
United. It's an absolute shame. We got to see the worst part of him. Austria, Turkey. Obviously, you're talking about a Turkey team that, by the sounds of it, they're going to be missing a lot of players in
Mm.
this third game. Do you think there any chance? Because Austria is in a rhythm, bro.
As in, it's not just the fact that Austria's in a rhythm. Turkey found it really difficult to break down a 10-man Czechia, and I
Mm.
think you're gonna need some. Gonna need some final end result. It took literally 50 minutes of sustained pressure, and then finally a pretty astounding strike from Çalhanoğlu. So I can't see them replicating the same sort of form. I'm gonna back Austria here.
Mm. Makes sense. Makes sense. Austria, England, Slovakia. We got to talk about this for just 1 minute. What penalty taker is going to lose the game for England? Which one of our ethnic brothers is taking the risk today? Which one is
Listen,
it? Is it Cobby? Is it Cobby? Is it
no,
Bukayo?
no,
Who
no.
who's running the risk?
The way Southgate is playing, Cobby's not going to see any minutes. Cole Palmer might see a few more minutes because the whole world is crying out for it. But unless he chucks in Eze for the last 2 seconds just so he can take a penalty as well, this is the sort of strats we've seen from Southgate. No, I'm still going to back an England win. I think it will be extremely scrappy. I think it will be a performance of England of old where they didn't have the talent and they just did whatever they could to brute force a goal in. But I'm still going to back England here.
Hmm. Last fixture: Switzerland versus Italy. Talk to me.
I think I already mentioned before. I just think the ability to score goals right now is such a premium. We're seeing some of like the lowest scoring fixtures in these Euros, and I feel like the team that can score a goal out of nothing is more likely the team to go through. And we've just seen that more from Switzerland. It doesn't they don't need 10, 15 chances. They need three, and they'll convert one of those. Whereas Italy have been a bit more wasteful this Euro, so I can see Switzerland going through this time.
Yeah. And both teams very similar in the sense that their forwards are not quality, but they're
Mm,
playing to the system. I feel pretty
mm,
well, and Embolo really did that well in the last game,
mm.
almost getting the win against Germany. And then both teams have got the more physical, traditional defenders, not
Yep.
as much pace about them. Yes, you've got Akanji, but the setup is feels very similar to me
Yeah.
in a sense. But okay, before we wrap up, I just need to say this. Last Euros, we were we were so close to Paul Pogba being the player of the tournament, but some absolute bozos in the back line, 3-1 up, 10 minutes to go against Switzerland. They decided we're going to concede two. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. And then Mbappe decided to miss 7 chances in that game, as well as the win, probably one of the winning penalties.
Yeah.
So, um, is there anyone so far that has either been eliminated or still in the tournament but might get eliminated that is a player of the tournament candidate for you right now?
Oh God. Oh God. I don't know. I feel like no one's really stood out like immensely for me in terms of. I feel like the teams that performed well have been a team-based performance, and
Mm.
then God, it's hard to pick
Before
out
the
one person.
tournament, before the
Yeah,
tournament started, it was Bellingham, Musiala, and Tony
Mbappe.
Cruz,
Oh, okay.
and then Mbappe, and
Yeah.
then Mbappe.
But I feel like none of them have been like spectacular. They've been great in their system, but they haven't been like someone to rise above. Like they're not the cream of the crop. They've just been a very effective cog in their system, and that's why their team is playing well. It's hard to say there's been like an absolute standout when like the
Mm.
leading goal scorer is oh God, I forgot his name from the Georgia team who scored his third goal this time. Like
Is it Mikau Tadze?
that's the
Yeah.
one, Tadza, yeah.
I
And
have
so
not been able to learn the pronunciations of that name, but give me until the semifinals. I'm sure they'll make it
it,
that far
it
at
took
this
me
rate.
it took me an hour this morning to pronounce Kvaratskhelia, and I'm very proud of myself to be able to say that name.
That was
But
good.
yeah, no,
That was good.
thank you, appreciate it. But yeah, that's the team where like they've been scoring goals out of nothing.
Mm.
Musiala for me, but yeah, I agree, Tom. I think Musiala is probably the most standout, but he's not been a standout. He's just been the best player in what I still think is the best team. I know
Mm.
I'm assuming you think Spain, but I
Yeah, I'd
think
say
Germany's
between
shown the
them,
most.
between
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that means I have to say Musiala as well then.
Yeah, it's a rough one. I feel
Mm,
this tournament is so wide open right now, and I don't know how I feel. The more it's happened, this is the third Euros where we've seen that third place qualification, and it's sort of a nightmare. It feels
yeah,
like because we don't know who's good right now, and
yeah,
all of the exciting end-to-end football is still yet to be played. We
yeah,
saw glimpses,
yeah.
but I'm just happy we're locked in. Sunday morning, we've got a couple of games all the way through to Wednesday, and next weekend we've got the quarterfinals Saturday and Sunday morning. So stay tuned, fellas. We're gonna have a daily stream every day of the Euros, rest of the way through. Guests from all over the world, the US, Ireland. Where's Tom from? Is Tom Scottish? I don't know. I don't know. He's
Support the
Australian
channel,
by the
guys,
sounds of it.
please. Support the channel. We don't sleep. You can see the bags
We
under my
really don't.
eyes.
We
Please
really don't, man. We
leave
really
us a
don't.
like.
We really don't sleep. It's
Nah,
it's
man.
getting treacherous. There's probably only about 10 nights left of the Euros,
Yeah.
and then I will be in hibernation until the Premier League starts. So that's it for now, fellas. Ciao.
See ya.